Hi, welcome back to an hour with Crowder with me, your host Crowder. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you're already a subscriber, go ahead and ding the subscription bell so that you can get all of my latest podcast interviews. Today, we got a good ass guest here from 4 Oak Cliff program, Dr. Wells.
How are you this morning?
Hi, I'm happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it was almost a little mix-up. Like, I was a little bit nervous that you wasn't going to come because it was so late in the week.
No.
And for the audience, pronounce your first name so that I do not butcher it.
I am Unesha Wells, affectionately known as Professor Wells at 4 Oak Cliff.
Yeah. So what type of doctorate? I'm assuming that you have some type of schooling background.
I do. I have a bachelor's in biology and human performance. I have a master's in a totally different field, MBA, some master's coursework in business. So I went in totally different directions, really trying to get more knowledge about nonprofit, and then I ended up not even finishing. But I think Professor Wells is just an affectionate name that everyone gives me around there. And you may be confused me with Dr. Hills. We do have another doctor on the staff, Dr. Jennifer Hills.
See, that's the thing is that I was like, oh my God, see, we don't have people of prestige. Just because it's a given title doesn't mean that it doesn't hold weight.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think that you got to go off to school to go get an education.
Absolutely.
When you can stay right there in your neighborhood and learn from your neighbor and the across the street neighbor, and you have more knowledge about life. School teaches you knowledge about what field you want to be in. People teach you knowledge about life.
Yeah, I do believe that experience is the best teacher, but I am an advocate for education. So that's really one of the things that, as long as you make yourself a lifelong learner, it doesn't matter what the titles become.
Exactly.
Just keep learning.
Exactly. What was you teaching when are you a former or
Yes, I am a former teacher.
Yeah.
I taught science, high school biology, middle school science, elementary science. I have also been an athletic director. I've also been a PE teacher. That's the human performance background. My final years of teaching, I went back to the neighborhood I grew up in, and I was able to teach reading and writing to 3rd and 4th graders. And I think of all the years, that was probably the areas I had the least experience in, but the best times teaching reading and writing.
You know what? You're a brave lady because those little kids.
No.
You're a brave lady.
Oh, I love kids. Kids are so honest. They just get right to it. They say the first thing that comes to their mind, and I tend to be that kind of person, so that might be why we get along so well.
Y'all just both bantering back and forth.
Back and forth. That's on my little family.
Yeah, but I did bring you in for a specific reason, 4 Oak Cliff. Could you tell us a little bit about this program? Because for a person like me that have grown up in the DFW for years, I've never left the DFW to go live anywhere else. Maybe whatever. But when I was truck driving or whatever over the road, but I've never heard of this program. And I'm sure the audience haven't either.
Okay, so 4 Oak Cliff is a fairly new organization. We are roughly about 6 years old. Mostly getting a lot of people are really, really hearing about us over the past 3 years. We are a culturally responsive organization serving the South Oak Cliff community. We have 4 pillars that we operate under: education, advocacy, and community building. And we have now added the arts, and we have developed various community programs centered around those pillars. But the main one started out being education. Our founder, Mr. Taylor Toynes, be looking out for him too, very influential guy, was a 4th grade teacher at W.W. Bushman Elementary School in that area. And he just noticed that every year there just was a deficit of kids just coming in with no school supplies and just limited resources. And so it initially started out as a back-to-school festival. And from that festival, it grew into a nonprofit organization. And so, but the festival is the Back to School Festival is our baby. That's how people mostly hear about 4 Oak Cliff. It is a huge event for us. It is an amazing event in the community. And like I said, it just really started out from just one mini idea of let's help some kids get some school supplies. And it has developed into an organization that you will hear more about, you will see more about, and we will be servicing that South Oak Cliff
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I am very interested in that because for one, I see a lot of back to school, backpack sales and come out and get
Right,
this and come out
right.
and get that. But I very rarely hear those organizations turn into what y'all made for Oak Cliff.
Yes. Like I said, I have to keep going back to the point that and if you ever got the chance to meet Mr. Torrance,
He should come on.
you will see. Yeah, he should. He's very busy though here lately, but you will see that education is like the main focus for everyone on the team. We're a small team of 5. We're growing, but all of us have an education background. All of us have previously been educators, um, whether it be public, private, or traditional, non-traditional. In work path situations where we work for companies to do work path readiness, or we've been educators in school, or we've been educators at the college level. So that's just something that we always like to focus on. And even though, um, pencils, paper, school supplies seems like a small thing in that neighborhood, it's really, really big. I don't know if you know a lot about that area. We service what we call the super block, and the super block extends from about, I would say, Illinois 8th Street near 35.
That's
And
where my
then,
dad stays.
right, and then going back to Ledbetter, Loop 12, and then going east to west from probably 45 to 35. Everything in between there is what we call the super block. And so all the elementary, middle schools, high schools in that area we service.
So those are like as you're saying the super blocks. Those are the areas that
That's
generate the
area.
most schools.
No, that's the area that we try to focus on, the super block. We call it the super block because Oak Cliff is pretty big. I mean, I'm from Oak Cliff. I remember when it wasn't cool to be from Oak Cliff, but now you got
No,
Bishop
it's
Arts, and you
always
got
been.
all these bells and whistles in Q Park, and now everybody wants to be from Oak Cliff. But the part that
It was that song
we're
that did
from,
it.
yeah,
It was that song.
That was my era too.
That was that song that did it.
That was my era in college. Everybody knew we was from Oak Cliff.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
what I'm saying is, I guess we just kind of had to quadrant off a zone to serve because Oak Cliff is very large, and so the zone that we decided to serve was the super block. And so within the super block, we have many schools, we have many elementary schools, we have just many different programs, and so our mission is to just strengthen the super block. We want to increase the social mobility by increasing the social capital, and the way we're going to do that is through education. We feel like education is liberation. So whether that be plain old, algebra tutoring, or whether that be financial literacy and steps to buying a home, we believe that education is going to liberate you, and it's going to, increase your social mobility and your social capital as well. So within that, we service the super block, and we're getting a lot of feedback from other communities. We're getting a lot of
Like
people
who?
to reach out. I mean, just other communities in the area. People come in and they hear about
Okay.
us and they want, to be a part of it. And we have no problem with that. We want to serve whoever comes. We do a food distribution where we service whoever comes. But again, we primarily try to focus on that area because within that zip code, I don't know if you know it or not, 75216 has the highest incarceration rate for the state of Texas. In that one zip code, they have the highest incarceration rate for the state of Texas. And I think last time I looked, it was like 800 and something, just from that
Well,
one zip code.
Well, it's because there's no, like you said, like the education there is very low.
I mean, there were no programs for the people in the area. There were no food pantries. If
Yeah.
you've been over there, it's a food desert. That means there's no
Yeah.
access to
close stores
right,
or
healthy
any
food
yeah.
choices or nice grocery stores. It's a book desert. There's maybe one
library.
there. Even now with COVID happening, we're discovering it's an internet desert, and we're able to
The
offer
Wi-Fi,
hotspots and
yeah,
things
the
like
Wi-Fi
that. Yeah,
is
so
messed up
just-
over there.
I think it was an area that had not been fairly, treated to the resources, and I think that's just a push. We're all products of Oak Cliff. We're all natives of Oak Cliff, and we just had a big push to let's strengthen this area.
Yeah, I want to go back to the point that you were making about being a food desert and a book education altogether, because a lot of people, especially because I moved to Garland, and my mom did that mainly because of the
School.
Because of the school.
Absolutely.
It's an education desert, and now we're noticing that it's a Wi-Fi desert, and a lot of people don't understand that Wi-Fi. We didn't think about Wi-Fi.
Right,
If you
at
didn't
that
have
time,
Wi-Fi,
right.
you just didn't have Wi-Fi. Whatever, you know, you can
But
literally
now
go anywhere.
that it's a thing.
Yeah, now that it's a thing, now you're figuring out. And I didn't even understand that because I work in Oak Cliff. I work off of Martin Luther King.
Okay.
And the Wi-Fi is like when I go in and log into my KDAC, which is like the digital log, paper log for truckers, then it's like loading,
Yeah.
and I'm
You can't
like,
get on
what?
that. So it just depends on where you are, and that is another point that we are trying to, or another resource we're trying to provide, or another area we're trying to cover for members of the community. We recently partnered with an organization, Dallas After School Program, and we launched a virtual after school program because, again, everything is going virtual. And it was an amazing experience because we were able to provide the students not only with the technology, but with a hotspot so that they would have access in the home. And from that, we have had other families to just be like, oh, my God, thank you guys so much. You don't know how you helped our home just by giving that hotspot. We are working from home. The kids are working from home. You know, that little piece was amazing, and you take for granted. I think, again, of course, especially if you don't live in that neighborhood, you take for granted that the internet is just accessible when it's really not.
Yeah, we think that it's just a necessity.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of like a privilege to have it. But did you hear about what Charlemagne did?
No, but let me go back 1 second. You said you work near Martin Luther King. Now, Martin Luther King is not what we consider South Dallas. I mean, Oak Cliff is considered South Dallas, but when you come into Oak Cliff, you can come on that Forest Bridge and you kind of get Cedar Crest down there. So I just
Cedar Crest. Yeah, Cedar Crest. That's actually where I work off of, Cedar Crest.
Right. I knew where you were talking about, but I want to clarify. MLK is South Dallas, and then you come on across the bridge and you're officially in Oak Cliff.
Oh, so it's kind of like that thing in Garland off of 30, where if you go across the bridge and it's Pleasant Grove, if you come back, then it's Garland.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Because I did move out when I was in the 4th grade, so I'm not too savvy about a lot of places in there, but I worked there. My dad, he lives there, whatever. That's cool. Thank you though. But now, would it be safe to say that this is a program for and to uplift Black kids exclusively?
I would not say Black kids exclusively because we do a lot of programming for Black and brown kids. But we are a predominantly managed African American. You know, we are an African American led organization. We are in an African American community that's predominantly African American. So of course, by default, we service them. But yes, I would never say predominantly because we're gonna help whoever comes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're for the most part, that's the team. That's who we are. We're all African Americans, and that is known to be a African American neighborhood. So we do service.
And that's why I kind of do think and feel that it should be exclusively because of gentrification that is going on in that part. Yeah. You know, I rode by there, and you know, I used to live in Oak Cliff and seen the potholes or whatever off in the road, and now all of a sudden I'm seeing nice houses.
Looking really nice.
Yeah, I'm seeing nice houses. I'm seeing the park all cleaned up.
Right.
I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that.
Yes.
And I do feel like Black people, us as Black people, we have a really big problem with gatekeeping the things that we build.
Okay.
Y'all build that organization.
Okay.
And I do not want someone that is gentrification, not
a part of that,
a part of that neighborhood to come in and start, you know, flailing out money, and now they own the organization that y'all built.
But that won't happen. My CEO is very strong, very intelligent, and I think that whatever happens, he will always stick true to the mission of ending the systemic education oppression. And so in keeping true to that mission, you're just going to service, because education is so multifaceted, you're going to end up servicing others. But I can say we can pride ourselves on being a organization that was created by African Americans, that is predominantly staffed by African Americans at this time, but we don't know where it will go from here, but it is a black-owned business.
Yeah, and I don't want to get it misconstrued, people out there in the audience. I am not saying that, hey, if a Latino kid or a white, no, it's because, people will take clips and they'll chop it and make it seem like something that it's not. And I'm just saying that we usually always, black people, we usually always include everybody, forgive everybody, do everything for everybody. And then when we get something of our own, then everyone wants to infiltrate it.
I understand everything that you're saying, and it's absolutely true.
Yeah, and then we, because we do that, then years and years down the line, someone either buys us out and then make it their own and then say, oh, this is the since date now. And when you guys' organization's been around for 6 years now, and I'm just now finding out about it. Yeah. But if, say, 10 years down the road, someone decides to start funding that, and then and we already know how money works. We know how money works. Once someone is funded by someone, then they feel that they have the power to dictate what goes on in it. Exactly. And then you feel obligated, not you personally, but an organization feels obligated to.
I don't foresee that happening. Like I say, very, very solid team, but growth is key. But I just don't foresee something like that happening. I know exactly what you're talking about. When people come in, they take over and they make it their own and they do whatever. But the one thing that holds true to that neighborhood is, let me give you an example. In the schools, whether people own it or not, our kids learn from people, that they can relate to. So whether that be, a Spanish kid learning from a person that's Spanish better, or an African-American kid learning from someone, that they feel like more relatable because they look like them, because that's primarily the first portal into the kid. When I see you, how I receive you because I see you. So I think that no matter who comes into that neighborhood, they are pretty strong in who they work with and who they are willing to let in. So I don't think it will ever be a case, even if they come in and try to change things, or even if anyone wants to come in, that neighborhood is going to let you know. They're either going to shut down or they're going to pick up. And we are just blessed that because we are from the neighborhood and because we do look like those people, because we are from those same backgrounds, we walk those same streets, we rode those same city buses, that we can get the positive feedback that we need and able to provide resources, and it's all love. And I know that it's because we look like them. So I do not foresee any of those kind of changes happening. But we do want to, be thankful for the people that do, help in our mission that are not of our color.
Yeah. I appreciate those people too, because you need all walks of life. Because like you said, Oak Cliff is, we already know that it's going in a different direction. They're, about to get ready to gentrify it, so soon it will be different races in the neighborhood, which means that there will be different people walking in the doors of Oak Cliff program. So you do need different walks of life, but that's what I was saying. Because
but you're talking about as far as leadership, I know exactly what you mean, and I'm just saying we're safe.
Yeah, we're good. I'm pretty sure that y'all are good. Y'all are gonna be, all right and everything and safe. Or whatever, but
because there's really nobody doing what we are doing. We operate on a 2-generational model, and that 2-gen model says that 2 generations are learning, dual learning at all times. So that means if the parent comes in for work path readiness, we're working with the kids. We even have a program where we work with infants and toddlers, baby 0 to 3 years old. So at all time, our goal is to have 2 generations of families learning, or 2 generations learning, and nobody is really doing that work. So for right now, we're holding our own.
Yeah, I just think y'all should put a stamp on it. Just make it known that, hey, this is a black organization. It's black ran. It will continue to be black ran, because that's who predominantly lives in this neighborhood. Regardless of if it's going to be gentrified in the next 10, 15 years, this is where black kids in this neighborhood can come to see their own strive and be, successful. This is the pathway for black and brown kids to see that path.
Right. But I also will make sure that we, when you see us, what's understood don't have to be explained. When we coming, strong, we coming powerful, and we are, representing.
For sure.
Yeah.
You brought up a really good point about learning from your own, because are you familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that he's getting the backlash that he's getting all because of a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't know the whole story about
Right.
that. So I go by his teachings. I definitely understand he's Pan-Africanism. He practiced that. And the point that you brought up about learning from your own and teaching your own, one of his ideologies is that, he's trying to do a school for black boys. And I forget where he's building that school at. But the important thing is that he wants to build an all-black staff, and he has a set of rules that, you need to be natural, you need to be straight, you need to be, and some of them are a little bit, but for the most part, I understand learning from black people and teaching from black people, because you said that you're the first, like your mom is the first person you learn from. So when you go to school and you see Miss Johnson and she's black, then you see your sister or your cousin or your mother or something like that, and you automatically have a unwritten bond type of deal going on there.
Yeah, I remember again, in my previous profession, I was a teacher. And I went to teach in Waxahachie. And I went to the 6th grade school in Waxahachie. And that literally was the 6th grade school, meaning that they had about 4 or 5 other elementary schools that were 1st through 5th. But everybody met up and went to the 6th grade school. And I'm not that old. This was back in about 2002, 2003. I was probably the first black teacher some of my kids had. And so I'm thinking, how is that even possible that you could have gone to pre-K all the way up to 5th grade without having a black teacher? All my teachers are black. But I also had to think about, in that rural area, you had kids that come from as far south as Palmer in to go to Waxahachie School. So for them, that diversity was not there. So I am a firm believer, because, again, a lot of our African-American students were not doing well. And we'll never be able to truly say that they were not doing well in certain areas because their teacher didn't look like them. But we can pretty much,
if you look at
and that's okay. That's what we do for that neighborhood. What we bring is authentic. What we bring is natural. What we bring is unscripted. It's very fluid, because we all are from the neighborhood, so we can totally relate to those people because we are like them. I grew up in a house behind Rudy's Chicken. I rode the Dart Rail train. I remember when it was built in 1996. So when I have a mom that comes in and is frustrated, I totally understand, because I've been there. That could be one of my aunts. So when I say that kids, I don't want to limit them to not being able to learn from, or receive lessons from people that are not like them. But we totally know, our own. We identify our own. And so I think that's just pretty much been our claim, to fame in that neighborhood, just being so culturally relevant that we're able to immerse ourselves in the work, because we are products of that. And we see, we see what's behind the person in front of us, because we know we all had the same kind of beginning.
Yeah, we all had the same background, so you can see that kid, oh, dang, something's going on with him from the jump, instead of saying, oh, he's just being bad today.
Right. Instead of just labeling them. My thing would be, I love bad kids. And even now when they come into 4 Oak Cliff, so some that are busier than others, they're like, Professor Wells. And I'm like, I'm able to be firm and I'm able to be nurturing. But for whatever reason, I just understand the dynamics of how these people function, think, or operate, because I am them.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's another thing that Dr. Umar was talking about. You know that he's a doctor for special education. He diagnosed special education kids. And it's a really big problem with these schools diagnosing black boys and
just giving them a label.
Yeah, giving them a label of ADHD, which puts them on Ritalin.
Yeah.
And Ritalin is not that many molecules away from crack.
Well, it's a lot of socioeconomic factors that could affect that as well. Like I say, you have people that are not
But most
even
of it is
parents,
because you don't
yeah,
have
but
the structure.
even parents
The
not,
structure that you're talking about, that you
absolutely,
bring them, the structure
not
and the
even
nourish, because they don't have
understanding
a
the kid
dad.
and how to, whether it's not having a dad or whether it's less lacking that structure or lacking those resources or not, how to nurture that, you know what I'm saying? But feed it in a way that the kid grows and that they don't, you know, stay in that place. And I think it's an art to that because I always hear, what's the word? You're a product of your environment. You're a product of your environment. People like to say that all the time, but I'm not. You know, if I am, the product I became was the good parts of my environment. And I grew up in a very bad community. So that's kind of like one of those phrases where I'm like, you don't have to be, though.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that grew up in the hood and then they go off and be
absolutely. I walked past
crazy successful
crackheads and waved. Hey, Mr. Johnson, hey, what you're doing, your personal time is not, you know, you were a member of the community like everybody else. We were all a family in that community. You were just a family member that might have had a few, you know, that might have had a bad rap. So that's literally how we see people when they come in. Hey, you are bigger. You can overcome whatever you are now. Just how do you want to do it? And we believe that education is key to doing that. Rather it not be, and when we say education, you can educate someone in any kind of way. If I don't know anything about Arlington, you can sit here and you can educate me on Arlington.
I can't do that.
Oh
sis.
no, I'm just saying
I'm
per se. So when I say education, I want everybody to think when you come here, it's just school.
Yeah,
no,
it was kind of like what we were talking about at the beginning.
To so many different things, we connect families to so many different things. We get access to health care.
Yeah,
access to work readiness, enrichment for the kids. I mean, mentoring, just any type of way that we can grow a person and help them increase, you know, where they are and what they're trying to become. We just start there. So some goals are major. Hey, I'm going to graduate from college in 4 years.
Right.
Some goals are not as major. Hey, you know what?
Hey, I want to save $20 before the next week.
I want to save $20 this week.
That's economic budgeting and saving.
Little boy, I want you to go 2 weeks without getting a call from that teacher. 2 weeks. Come on, you can manage your emotions, manage your behavior for 2 weeks. So
is that something that y'all are interested or are already doing, cognitive behavior exercises for those kids that are troubled emotionally?
Yeah, I have a few I have a few kids that come in that I work specifically on with that, and that's just from research that I've done and just parents giving me access to the kids and studies that I'm trying to do. But it's basic because I'm not a professional in that. But again, that's another one of those resources that we will connect you to. Hey, he needs some more development in social emotional learning, or maybe he has some other issues that need to be addressed. We connect you to a professional. We do our best to connect you to a professional that can handle that. But for the most part, it's the kids, the young men that I have come in. Yes, we do put them on systems where they can learn to manage their own behavior, manage their own emotions, and the way that we may take. We might use a cognitive approach. Many different approaches we use. But yeah, we do try to manage that in that space because we have a lot of parents that come in and just say, hey, this is just too much. And then that's when we are able to, once again, educate and say, well, have you tried this? Or have you tried that? And most times, it's coping mechanisms that you haven't even thought of because either you felt like they were too tedious of a task, or you just, again, coming from our neighborhood, it's just corny. We don't do that. Time out. No, he might need a moment to walk away, de-escalate, create a calming corner, get a stress ball, all this stuff that they've been saying to do. Do it because it works. It's not always about let's punish him in this kind
or let's pump him with drugs. Like I was saying back just before you started up, that point that you was going with was the Ritalin. Is that it's not that far away from crack. The molecules of it,
right?
It's the same makeup.
But that was
away from crack.
Diagnosing these kids. How can I say this? That was just another thing that had something to do with the fact that they were from a low socioeconomic area.
I know what you're saying.
They were coming to moms when kids were little. Like as a teacher, I've had moms that come to say, "Hey, sign this paper. They are saying my baby's this. I went to the doctor. He's been diagnosed with this. Sign this paper, and they're also getting.
I'm sorry. Check. Could you stay right there?
Oh yeah, they're also getting like a check or something like that. that's another mechanism that could influence.
What it really is that it was a way back then to segregate once again, to segregate white kids from black kids, because if you can socially separate them because of their education, saying, oh, this is a mental problem, that they're too hyper or too active or whatever, and look at these kids, they're calm or whatever, but then you can separate them by a mental disorder. Yeah. It was a way to separate kids by a mental disorder, because you can flat out just say, oh, we don't want black kids or white kids, pretty much. But I did want to touch on a point about you go over financial education, emotional education, things like that. Are you interested, or is the organization, because we see that it's election season, are you guys getting kids ready for politics and stuff like that, understanding how politics go, so that you won't have to follow in the footsteps and behind your mom? Because I see a lot of kids mainly pick a party based off of their parents. Me, I was a Democrat for a really long time. I'm nothing now. I don't believe voting works for a certain group of people, us in general, because we do not do PACs. We don't buy our politicians, which you shouldn't have to. They should just want to do a good job for your neighborhood or for you as just a human. But I tend to stray away from that, and I think that us as black people should come together and get our own instead of waiting for politicians. But are you guys getting your kids
we don't
ready?
Take a specific political stance.
Yeah.
But we do have several community meetings, rise to the polls, voter registration, and different things like that, where our kids very actively participate. Most of the time, they are major volunteers and things like this, and so they are aware. But as far as influence them on a certain political stance, no.
Yeah, not influence them,
I know,
but teach
I'm saying
them.
Just making them aware.
Yeah,
of
making
the
them aware of the politics.
Yeah, it's absolutely impossible for us to service them without doing it, because oftentimes they come in with questions about things, and it sparks up a conversation from that. But yeah, they are we want our kids to be just as involved as we are. So whenever we have any type of events that educate the people on, local elections or state elections, our kids are very much so a part of that.
Have you had any politicians come in and maybe speak? Like the mayor, because the mayor of Dallas or anything like that.
The mayor has never been to Fort Oak Cliff.
Would you be interested in him actually coming, or would you be like, nah, we're good, because you think that it would influence the kids?
I think that knowledge is power. So if the mayor is coming in talking to them about the city of Dallas, again, that's educating to liberate them. Now, as an adult myself, do I 100% with this person? That's why it's hard to hover in that space, because you can't let your own personal views influence what you're trying to teach. So when I say we educate the kids on just in general, this is the government system, they make the rules, this is why voting is, we do that, but just honing in on different people. A lot of people come through there and say, hey, we want to have a meeting, because like you said, things are happening in 216, things are being regentrified, and they know that that's a community that they need to tap into. But I don't have a opinion here or nor there about who comes and who speaks on what's going on. I just know I'm going to continue to do the work in the super block and make sure that we get our slice of the pie for whatever it is that's coming to Dallas, whether it be bonds to rebuild schools, or whether it be things that bring park trails in our neighborhood, whatever it is. I want to make sure Fort Oak Cliff is going to make sure that, that area gets what they deserve.
Would Fort Oak Cliff organization be interested? What if, like, one of the politicians, no specific one, came in and donated a bunch of money?
I don't know.
Would you take it? Would you guys take it? Or
I don't
do you
know.
think your organization would take it?
I don't know. That's something I don't know. It would just depend on who the person is. If they came in and donated to education pillar, I don't yeah, we're gonna take it because
Yeah.
it's gonna increase our programming. That would just have to be a case by case, situation where I mean, I'm pretty sure if it's something like when you say one of the political people, if Trump came in and was like, "Hey, I heard about you guys, I want to give y'all some money," I'm pretty sure we all would be like, "Ugh," Donald, of all the people you want to donate, but
I don't know. I'd
I
take
get
it.
what you're saying.
He's already put in money
I'm
for
not saying
HBCUs.
we would not take it. I'm just saying it would be like, you know yourself that if we said we're gonna have a community meeting and our guest is gonna be Donald Trump, half people gonna come just to see are we telling the truth,
Yeah,
and the other half is gonna come just to be disgusted.
yeah, I'd come just to see that tan.
Right.
Just see that toupee,
You
that
know,
tan.
I come just to see again why I
circus.
love kids.
The circus.
I come just to see their reaction to him. Like what? So
Could you
I
do
mean,
a picture of the black kids? Like,
right. Mr. Orange Man. Right. But yeah, that's just one of those things. Like I said, it's a case by case. I don't really like to, when I'm speaking for the organization, I don't like to delve into politics because you never know what you can and you cannot say.
Exactly.
Sometimes I might stumble over my words because I'm trying to think about what to say, but I don't have time for nobody to have me
on a
news.
string, on puppet
Yeah,
strings. That's what it is.
just know that
Yeah.
education, advocacy, community building. If you want to speak on something I said today, make sure you speak on those three things. Don't worry about how I feel about Trump and the local government, education, advocacy, and community building in the super block. That's what we are working on.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the skills? Well, you've already said those 3 pillars, but are you guys interested in bringing trades back to schools? Because that's really how they broke down the cities like Oak Cliff and stuff. They started taking, you remember a long time ago,
Absolutely,
wood
yes.
shop, welding. You could learn
Absolutely.
that stuff right there in high
Absolutely.
school. And they took those programs out and they told us, go get your master's, go get your degrees. Now, I'm not saying don't go to school, but I'm saying you can look at some of these kids and know that they ain't going to college. They
Absolutely.
barely made it out of high school.
Absolutely. I definitely think that's something that does need to return back to the schools.
Yeah.
There are a lot of a lot of schools now that have STEM programs. Majority of the schools, the kids are able to graduate with an associate's, so they do have those programs. But I think getting back into those industry jobs and maybe more skills or trades that definitely take less time to acquire and that the kid can start to work on while
And
they're
they're
in school.
hands-on.
They need to come back on, absolutely, like wood shop, because at the end of the day, even environmental systems, if we don't have anybody
Wait a
to
minute,
cut the grass.
what is environmental system?
I mean, just learning about the water, the trails,
Oh,
the
okay.
lakes, all of the things
Okay.
like that. That somebody has to do that job for the city.
Yeah, we think that we take for granted, like the street sweeper, the street cleaner.
Absolutely.
And I take for granted that job because when did that happen? I don't know when it happened, but it was somewhere in Canada or the state park that when COVID first happened and nobody was out, nobody was allowed to be at the parks, nobody nothing, and trash was just built
Piling
upon,
up. Yeah, 'cause
piling
nobody
up.
was coming to get it.
Exactly, and we take those jobs for granted, and we actually frown upon those jobs. But if those people wasn't doing those jobs,
Absolutely.
then we really appreciate them. Like we, kind of talk down on fast food, but who was open when this thing happened?
Absolutely.
Fast
I just
food
think the main
places.
thing is to give the kids access to choices, access to resources. Like, I don't know. I myself am very educated, but I have owned a cleaning business. I have kept children. I have done taxes. I have an insurance adjuster's license. I have done many things, just giving these kids access to choices. Like, I don't want college to be your only choice, because you may not choose college not because you can survive, the study habits or things like that. You might not choose college because financially it just might not be the look for your family. But And I
Exactly.
think that it's very important to give kids access to those choices while they're in high school versus waiting until they get to that age. So yes, we do need to increase the trades. We do need to bring back the wood shops. We do need to bring back
Welding.
the cosmetologies, the welding, all of those things, and add the STEM, the science, technology, engineering piece, and add the all of that to it. But yeah, there's room for that there, and definitely a lot of schools that already have the spaces that are not being utilized. I know the high school that I graduated from is currently under renovation, but I know we had that
school
space
is that?
already there. I graduated from Franklin D. Roosevelt High School.
Oh, they're building it up.
Yeah, they're
again?
rebuilding.
You see, South Oak Cliff.
Oh yes, we are like
Great. It looks
we
great.
are probably a quarter of a mile from South Oak Cliff. It looks amazing right
It
now.
looks
That gym
great.
is state of the art. I mean, very nice school. We are in there. There's one of the schools that we service in the super block.
I'm
And so we
so-
have
I'm-
we do a lot of work with South Oak Cliff.
I'm pretty sure that y'all are so happy. Once I seen the finishing touch of it, I was like, oh my God. And it was bittersweet because I was really mad that it had to get to the point of the city shutting the school down for them to go in and start
And you
fixing
just
it
get
up.
bad that someone has, I mean, it's just like your family. You get bad that somebody got to air your dirty laundry in order to get something fixed. But at any rate.
You think all those kids that was going there would potentially could have died? The
Hey, I don't know how
circumstances at
far.
South Oak
Yeah,
Cliff was horrendous.
I've heard a lot of different horror stories about what was in the building, and I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it could have gotten that far to death, but I just know that it's just not, nobody should be living or working in those conditions.
Or learning.
Not only the kids, but the teachers that were coming in that building every day, the custodial staff, the cafeteria staff, everybody that was coming in that building, no one should be working in those type of conditions.
And you know that it wasn't just something that happened overnight. They try to make it seem like it just happened overnight. It was over the years. You know that multiple people during one of those teacher conferences, you know, when they take off and it's like, oh, teacher day or something.
Yeah.
You know that the teacher said something years back before the city just came in and shut it down.
Yeah.
Didn't happen overnight.
I just think that it's just, like I said, it's important if you want to just to level the playing field. I think equity has always been a topic where we can say this one school has this school didn't have that. And again, I went to schools in Oak Cliff. So I've seen the difference in what my school has and gone to other schools and see what they have. And we just have to do a better job of just leveling the playing field. And if we say that we want all kids to be able to learn, then we need to be able to give all kids access to the things that they need, whether that be a school that is free of mold or whether that be classrooms that are fully equipped with technology or anything, or whether it even be a nice green space for them to relax in. I think we just need to make sure, again, that it doesn't always get to a point to where somebody have to call you out on it. Just do the work and make sure that all of our kids, if that's the mission, have access to the same resources no matter what they are.
My thing is, I know that wouldn't have never happened in
Those
Plano.
kids wouldn't have complained.
I know
or
that
whatever.
wouldn't have never happened then.
Absolutely. What's coming in my mind, I'm not a big TV watcher, but I started watching The Chi, and I'm on like this episode where the kids go to an aquarium, and but they partnered with another school from across town, and they were going to the aquarium the same day. And it was crazy because when the kids, I guess from the south side of Chicago, pulled up, they were on a regular school bus.
Yeah.
And then when these kids pulled up, they were on a charter bus. And immediately those kids was like, we wanted to come to the aquarium, but we didn't want to be the poor kids. And I'm thinking something as simple as how we arrived, you know, help those kids. I mean, show those kids, hey, I'm being given a different resource. Why? Why? You know, we're all here to see the same thing, but why are we coming about it different ways? So I think there's just a lot of work to be done to make sure that resources are spread out through all of the neighborhoods that need them.
My thing is, you can always tell how much money a school has by their football team, because that's where most schools pour their money into.
Into sports.
Into sports. They do not tend to spread the resources of the school. When the school gets the money, they pour it into their football teams because they know that, that gets them quote unquote clout for more people to come in and graduate as this, we got this many championships, and that's how they get money too. So they tend to pour that money instead of saying, okay, dang, don't I want the next, and I really hate to say his name, but don't I want the next Bill Gates to come out of my school? Or don't I want the next William Cooper or somebody to come out of my school? Not, we have 1,000 LeBrons, and let's just be real. Everybody ain't going to the NBA, and everybody's not going to the NFL. That is a very slim chance. But studying and working hard, you can be the next big-time scientist or the next automotive person or something like that.
I think that the schools, programming and how it's funded, I haven't done a lot of studying on that, but I know schools tend to highlight athletics more because, I don't know, maybe that's what increases the revenue. I do know that part of it is a business, part of it, and so what brings revenue is what you want to continue to feed into. But like you said, awareness to Roosevelt has a STEM school inside of the school. I remember when I went to Oliver Wendell Holmes in middle school, we had a regular school and then we had an academy. I think just increasing the knowledge of these programs in the schools, because what you don't realize right now is that a lot of schools have open enrollment, so kids aren't going to the school in the neighborhood where they live. They going to school somewhere else. They may be going to school because they're getting dropped off where mom works, or they may be going to school to another district because maybe they can't go over here or whatever. But I just think that we have to do more about the resources in the schools in our neighborhood and making the schools in our neighborhood cool again. I mean, they're
cool
just
for the right reasons, because they've always been cool.
I know, but there are just so many options. Like, I don't want to have to, as a parent, decide I'm going to take my kid to this school in let me just say Saxe, because I work in Saxe, because
That's
I feel like, because I work in Saxe, I feel like this is a better school district. No, I want my kid, if I'm a home owner and I bought a home in Oak Cliff, they should be able to walk down the street or get dropped off at a school in the neighborhood where they have access to the same. Now, is it going to be 100% same? No, because I know the tax dollars and all of that are involved, but like, it should not be that much off the grid to where I'm like, no, my kid is not going to school over here. Well, why? This is where you live.
And that's where I think that us as a community, forget black, white, Mexican, whatever, I think that's where us as a community has to start to give some revenue to our
schools. Yeah, we have to get back to local partnerships. I think when I say local partnerships, meaning
why is Rudy Chicken not pouring money into the hood?
Like,
it's not Williams Chicken. That's a big thing.
Williams Chicken is amazing, especially with our organization. They
great.
They feed at the Back to School Festival. We do a couple of programs with them. So Williams Chicken are amazing.
So they're already on.
I understand what you're saying about it. If you think about, you might have 10 corner stores in a block, and these corner stores are open 24 hours, and these corner stores might make $1 million. But when was the last time that corner store even went up to that school and said, hey, we want to do a pizza party for perfect attendance, or we want to buy chair book covers for, I don't know, something for a class. I mean, I think we have to get more into the people, like you said, be in the community. It has to be a community effort. Mm-hmm. And everyone in that community has to realize their stakeholders. Hey, these kids aren't going to come in your store and steal after school if you have a relationship and you are seen at their school often. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that you should be up there just, giving away your store, but I'm just saying we have to be more of a positive light in this community. We're going to occupy this space and realize that we all take part in shaping it.
Yeah. I think too,
not just the schools, not just community organizations like Oak Cliff, but every single person that's in that community, whether you are a store owner, whether you're a business owner, whether you that's your trash pickup area. Often we all, play a role in the growth and development of that community, and we got to own that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is one of the things that you did bring up that was very influential, is the community aspect of it. Anything just from something so little as picking up trash in your little block.
I think that's why Oak Cliff is able to be successful, is because it's not our organization, it's the community's organization. They are the heartbeat of what we do.
Yeah, there's no set leader.
Absolutely.
Everybody's the leader.
Everything that we do is in response to what that community needs. So I read somewhere where the founder made a quote that he co-founded Oak Cliff with the community. He co-founded it with the community, and that just resonated to me. Like, yeah, you did, because this organization was created based off of a need for this community. So in part, that means the community said to you, hey, we need to do this, and you just took up that offer. So yeah, I agree. Oak Cliff has been FUBU for us, by us, and it was definitely created in partnership with community needs.
We was talking a little bit off air about a specific thing that was going on with, a building. Can you talk about that, or
no? I'm just saying I don't want to, but I just know that
keep it under wraps.
But I just know that we are just looking to expand. We're looking to serve more people in that community. And I think that we are going to be able to do that. I think that just like you say, you randomly heard about Fort Oak Cliff because somebody shared it on or something like that. I think that the more awareness is brought to our organization and the more people hear about us, we are definitely going to need to expand in that community, whether it be to occupy more space or whether it be to, create more things that exactly like where we are within the community. There is room for that, and we are headed that way.
Boom. And there you have it. You were a great guest. I feel like I'm in the 4 Oak Cliff organization right now just by talking to you. If you would, could you please give the audience any type of social media outlets that they can reach you at, any websites that they can reach you and your organization at?
Absolutely. Everyone out there, please, if you have social media on 4 Oak Cliff, please follow our page. It is FOROAKCLIFF on Facebook. On Instagram, it is the number 4 OAKCLIFF. Kind of old school. I don't know if we're on Snap and all that, But
you know what? I don't
we're
get
on
Snap either.
Facebook. We're on Instagram. Please, please, please follow, like and share. Go to the page, 4oakcliff.org, and just see what we're doing. It'll give you, exactly, our festivals, the programs we have. A good layout of everything is there, where you can donate if you want to donate, where you can purchase merchandise. All of that is on that site. So please, if you have not already, be sure to follow us on 4 Oak Cliff, FOROAKCLIFF on Facebook, and number 4 OAKCLIFF on Instagram. If you need to reach me personally, I'll go ahead. I'm afraid to do this, but I'll go ahead and give you my email address. My email address is Unesha, UNESHA WELLS at 4oakcliff.org. Unesha Wells. That's everybody's name. Going to be their first last name at 4oakcliff.org. So you need to reach out to me. Any other questions, any other follow-up, you want to have. But please, please, please follow our page. Our Back to School Festival this year was amazing. You can go back there and see a recap of it. We had kind of like a little unplugged concert. We had to do our Back to School Festival for 4 locations this year because we wanted to stay within the guidelines of COVID. So rather than having our big gathering that we normally have at Glendale, we broadcasted from 3 different rec centers in the neighborhood, as well as where our office is. So it was an amazing experience. Part of that, we were able to definitely employ a lot of black businesses with our festival. A lot of the local artists who are also suffering. Our entertainers are not entertaining due to the pandemic. So a lot of the local artists like Ronnie and Tuck and TYE, we did like a little tiny, look kind of resembles like a tiny dance or unplugged. We did one of those, and all of those can be seen. We're currently working right now to get that available to be streamed on all platforms because it was just truly amazing for us to be able to see, local artists and local businesses come in that space, all join for the effort of making an amazing back to school festival. And so, this year it was super fantastic, and I hope that you guys, when you go look on that page, that you just go back and click and watch it because it's a good watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and go watch that. Also, you can reach me on my Instagram page, Crowder, with an A, not an E, _great. And Facebook, of course, an hour with Crowder, my Facebook page, and all of that good stuff. And we're out.
We are out.